Hey guys, welcome back to another one. This is Crypto Elite, home to the #1 Theta community. And if you like this content, please like and subscribe to the channel. And you can find me on Theta TV as well. Alright guys, in today's video, I'm going to be going over a couple highlights from this. And CryptoSlate recently spoke to Wes Levitt of Theta Labs, and this is a really great interview. I'm going to link this video in the description below, and I'm only going to be playing like 3 minutes worth of clips, but this entire interview is like 40 minutes, so I highly recommend you check it out. There was a lot of thought-provoking discussions that came about, and I actually really like this interview. So once again, thank you, Akiba, for this interview. You did a great job. So let's talk about this first one. And this has to do with some of the implications of Ethereum moving from proof of work to proof of stake with the merge, and some thoughts from Wes Levitt, whether this could be a beneficial thing or potentially not. And let's check it out, see what he has to say.
Users nearby.
I mean, does that open an opportunity for GPU miners when Ethereum goes to proof of stake?
That's a good question. We originally thought that that wouldn't really be relevant, because if you're that high focused on, if you have that kind of rig, you're going to make more money mining. But yeah, if they're looking for a home now, it actually could make a lot of sense. And the larger and larger these video files get, as resolutions go up, as you move into more and more VR content, it takes a lot of processing power actually to code those and transcode.
Yeah, I'm well aware from my history in the industry.
So that, in summary, yes, there could be some implications, because like Wes Levitt said, there's going to be a lot of miners looking for new homes as soon as Ethereum does move from proof of work to proof of stake. And the tentative date as of right now that they put off, it's a soft deadline of 19 September. So this is right around the corner. There could be potentially it could be a few, or it could be a lot of new miners who potentially move over to the Theta ecosystem. And that could cause, as Wes Levitt goes on to talk about throughout the interview, actually, I'll let you go out and watch that to see what kind of implications. Let's say that there are some very, very large miners that come to the overall Theta ecosystem. There are some future implications with that. So with that being said, we'll move on to the second little thing that I wanted to talk about, and that is some other implications with the Theta ecosystem. I think they did a good job of kind of giving a broad overview. So right now, as we know, Theta is all about video streaming for the most part. That's what most people think when they come to Theta, but there's a little bit more implications, and I'll play this so you can get some of those other implications.
Network first.
But so with it being only video, so you can't use Theta like IPFS for sort of image storage on other chains?
So you can't now, although there's nothing in theory about how we designed the network to run where it has to be video files. It could be any type of data segment.
Yeah.
That was just our focus first. And so basically the tools are there if someone wants to build that out, or it's something we may do as well. We've talked a lot about how we haven't done this yet, but we think game patches, or updates to software where you have a lot of users downloading the same file around the same time. Like
Microsoft does this with Windows, doesn't it? It'll look for the local network for updates for Windows, things like that.
Yeah, exactly. And so we think that's something that can be brought into all kinds of different patches or game updates, that kind of thing that goes out. We just haven't
So yes, there are a lot of different implications. They go on to say that they haven't found the right partner to test it out with yet, but if we remember from this article that came out in February 18th, Theta Edge Store revealed an alpha preview, so it's a preview release of some of the new implications that Theta Network is working on at this time. And like Wes Levitt said, it's slowly. Right now, they're definitely focusing on their video, but if some other developer were to come out and use this for other outside of video items, and there's some examples they give here, which is permanent storage for NFTs, which is more or less here. There's data availability for layer 2 scaling solutions such as rollups. There's a decentralized content delivery network, so video, and like they were talking about in the interview, also music could easily be integrated into this as well. Game patches like Wes Levitt was talking about, software updates. So like the Windows 11 Microsoft software update, that could easily be something that could be integrated into the network because everyone around the world is actually more or less upgrading their Windows 10 devices to Windows 11. So that could easily be integrated. And then there's the storage backend for Web3 dApps, blogging sites, etc., etc. There's also storage for metaverse digital assets. And then the last little bullet point here, and these are just examples, are storage for training data sets for AI algorithms such as autonomous driving, protein folding, etc., etc. So a lot of different implications that could be used for the overall Theta ecosystem. But it's not built out yet, but like Wes said, the tech is there. Someone just has to develop it. So that's the second thing that I found very interesting. The next thing has to do with some of the ways that companies could utilize Theta, and they go through different ways. And like I said, I don't want to give too much away because I definitely want you to go out and check out this video, but I will play this little highlight for you so you can get a sampling of what they're discussing here.
AWS, your high volume content, if you have our SDK plugged in, then it defaults to Theta first, and hopefully when you get those spikes and you have tens of thousands of users accessing it, then you're offloading it on our network at a much lower cost. And if it's not available on ours, then that's okay, because hey, that's only once in a while.
I mean, I personally find that super cool when you speak to people and they say, "Oh, show me a real world use case for blockchain and decentralization." Well, like reducing costs on scalability of like highly accessible content, like that's a brilliant use case for it. And
so yes, as they were discussing, that is a perfect use case, and it comes into play for things like this. When Stranger Things, not too long ago, if you're a fan of Stranger Things, if you were to watch season 4 part 2 when it premiered on July 1st, it actually ended up crashing Netflix because too many people tuned in at the very same time. So what Wes Levitt was talking about was, let's say hypothetically speaking, if Netflix and Stranger Things were to offload the Stranger Things season or episode 1 on the Theta network, when there's that spike of people tuning in and the bandwidth, a lot of people tuned in, so it caused the site to crash. If they were to offload that content, then it would be a dual role. So the Theta network could handle a majority share or even a partial share of the people tuning in, and then the Netflix normal ecosystem and infrastructure could handle the rest of it. So that is one use case that these companies could use for the future for Theta, and I found that very interesting. So not only could they use it to not cause the site to crash, but also they could save a lot of money. So if you go to Theta Video API right now, there's about 57% savings if they were to use it for the example they gave here, but they could save money nonetheless, which I found very interesting. So the last thing that I want to talk about, and this is probably the most interesting one, a little segment that I found in this interview, was this right here, and it has to do with companies being a little reluctant to use Theta because as of right now, some companies, crypto is still new and they don't really understand tokens and buying TFUEL in order to utilize the services. So they kind of talk about this momentarily.
Have you thought of or explored, or do you do kind of fiat onboarding as part of like an on-ramp to work with them, or?
Yeah, and we've discussed in several ways where we could sort of abstract away the token. And in some cases, perhaps even they continue to pay with fiat, and that's somehow just converted to token demand. But you're trying to thread the needle here, because what we don't want to do is be put in a circumstance where it's just, you've probably seen a few examples of this over the years where in the temptation to do that, to fit more into the box of traditional enterprises, they abstract it away so much that the token no longer has value because they're just taking fiat in the door and then performing a service, and they cut out the token. That's not what we're trying to do, and we will hold that line. Like, we're not going.
So I do appreciate that the company, they're staying true to being decentralized and using the Theta network as well as the Theta tokens, so TNT20 tokens, TFUEL in particular, in order to utilize the service. But I do think that, and they go on to talk about this a little bit more, definitely check out the video, there are ways to integrate more companies in, especially early on. So a very simple way or example would be for these large corporations to just pay a smart contract. They could use US dollars or normal fiat currency, and that smart contract could go out into the open market, purchase TFUEL, and that TFUEL is representative of the amount of USD that that company used. And in turn, that TFUEL is kind of taken off the market and it's held within that smart contract. I think that is one way to entice these companies, especially early on, if they're not accustomed to or used to utilizing crypto services. I think it's a win-win for both sides. And we can see that right now on the Theta Explorer. It would actually, by the nature of the smart contract, I think if it was locked away, TFUEL that is, was locked away with the smart contract, it would be looked at as being locked potentially. So I think it would actually boost this number up as well, because right now this is counting TFUEL that is staked and wrapped TFUEL that is locked in DeFi smart contracts. So I think that could be also a way to look at it as being locked away. It's not a DeFi smart contract, but that is TFUEL that is just going to be held in a smart contract forever. So that is one use case or one way to entice these larger corporations to still use US dollars and still help the overall Theta ecosystem. I think that's a win-win. But let me know what you guys think of this in the comment section below. And like I said, this is a interview from CryptoSlate. Definitely check it out. I only played about 3 minutes of the interview. There's still about 35 minutes of you for you to still watch. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will see you guys on the next one.